In the world of royalty, silence often speaks louder than words, and few recent moments have illustrated this truth more powerfully than King Frederik of Denmark's surprising response to his 20th wedding anniversary milestone. For most couples, 20 years of marriage is an occasion for public joy, glowing tributes, and heartfelt acknowledgments, yet when the Danish king faced reporters' questions about his marriage to Queen Mary, his reaction was striking. He deflected every question, avoided every opportunity to share even the smallest personal reflection, and left a trail of speculation in his wake. Why would a king who has lived much of his life in the public eye, and who has often presented himself as warm and approachable, choose silence when the cameras were rolling on one of the most significant landmarks of his personal life? The image of King Frederik standing before journalists, his posture poised but his tone evasive, has now become one of the most analyzed moments in royal reporting in recent months. The 20th anniversary of a royal marriage is not simply a private celebration, it is a national event, a milestone that symbolizes stability, unity, and the fairy tale that monarchies often seek to embody. In Denmark, Queen Mary and King Frederik are admired not just as individuals but as a couple who bridged continents and cultures, with Mary Donaldson leaving her life in Australia to step into one of Europe's oldest royal houses. The romance of their story has been retold for 2 decades, a chance meeting in Sydney during the Olympics, a relationship blossoming against all odds, and eventually a royal wedding watched around the world. That love story was meant to be crowned with gestures of celebration as they reached 20 years together. But instead of sharing his thoughts, King Frederik closed the door on questions, forcing observers to read between the lines of his silence. This silence is what has now stirred curiosity. Was the king simply protecting the privacy of his marriage, or was there a deeper reason behind his reluctance to speak? The royal family often walks a fine line between the personal and the public. While they live under constant scrutiny, they also reserve the right to guard their innermost emotions. For Frederik, who has always been seen as a more sensitive and sometimes hesitant figure compared to his mother, Queen Margrethe II, perhaps the pressure of public commentary on something as intimate as his marriage was simply too much. Yet the timing of his deflection, coinciding with an anniversary that symbolizes permanence, has led to waves of interpretation in the Danish press and beyond. Royal anniversaries are rarely casual affairs. They are symbolic, political, and deeply intertwined with the monarchy's image. Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's anniversaries in Britain were marked by official portraits, carefully crafted tributes, and public appearances designed to showcase a narrative of enduring love and partnership. Similar traditions exist across Europe, where royal couples' longevity becomes a pillar of national identity. By contrast, Frederik's refusal to engage publicly with the subject seems almost revolutionary, or perhaps risky. His words, or lack thereof, suggest either an intentional strategy or an uncomfortable avoidance. Journalists noted that when pressed, his demeanor remained calm but firm. He acknowledged nothing, gave away nothing, and moved swiftly on to other matters of state, as if the personal sphere was off limits entirely. Such a decision is unusual for a monarch whose popularity rests heavily on relatability. King Frederik has long cultivated an image of being approachable, the modern royal who runs marathons, enjoys adventure, and speaks openly about issues close to his heart. His marriage to Queen Mary has been central to that image. Together, they have been the face of a new Danish monarchy, international, youthful, and united. That very image, however, makes the deflection even more noticeable. Viewers watching him expected warmth, perhaps a small anecdote, or even a simple acknowledgement of gratitude for his wife. Instead, they were met with a refusal to indulge. Observers began to speculate on what his silence could mean. Was it an attempt to shield Queen Mary from public intrusion? Was it a reflection of personal strain within the marriage, a marriage that has not been immune to rumors of challenges in recent years? Royal couples, despite the fairy tale exterior, often endure private struggles that rarely make headlines until small cracks appear. Silence at a milestone moment could be read as a protective gesture, or it could signal tensions that the palace prefers not to amplify with words. What makes this silence particularly fascinating is the contrast between King Frederik's personal choice and Queen Mary's usual approach. Mary has often been the more composed, media-savvy partner. Her speeches and appearances demonstrate poise and warmth, and she has been admired internationally as one of Europe's most elegant and modern queens. The public naturally expected that their 20th anniversary would be a showcase moment for both of them, reflecting their bond and reinforcing their role as Denmark's royal couple. Yet the king's avoidance shifted the narrative entirely, leaving Queen Mary's voice absent and unanswered in the public sphere. Royal watchers and experts in monarchy have pointed out that this incident reflects a broader shift in how Frederik approaches his role as king since ascending the throne. Unlike his mother, who often leaned into grand gestures and symbolic celebrations, Frederik appears to prioritize restraint and privacy. His silence might therefore be an extension of a new royal philosophy, one where the monarch does not indulge in personal revelations but rather maintains a boundary between crown and home. However, the risk of such an approach is the very speculation it creates. Silence does not erase curiosity, it fuels it. Media reaction in Denmark was immediate. Headlines framed the moment as curious, awkward, and telling. Analysts debated whether the king had missed an opportunity to humanize himself and connect emotionally with his people. Some argued that his refusal was dignified, a reminder that not every aspect of royal life should be paraded before cameras. Others claimed it revealed discomfort, perhaps even discontent, that undermined the romantic narrative the Danish monarchy has long embraced. For the Danish public, who hold deep affection for Queen Mary, the lack of acknowledgement felt jarring. Still, one must ask whether the public has a right to demand intimacy from their monarchs. Should a king be expected to turn private feelings into soundbites for the sake of appearances? Or should his silence be respected as an act of love, choosing to keep what matters most away from the noise of media headlines? Frederik's deflection might, in fact, be the most romantic gesture of all, a way of saying that his marriage is not for show, that it belongs to him and Mary alone. Alternatively, it could be read as a symptom of strain, a refusal to answer questions because the answers might not align with the public's expectations. The intrigue surrounding this anniversary now adds another layer to the king's reign, one that will continue to be examined in the coming months. Will future anniversaries be marked with more openness, or has Frederik set a precedent for silence? Will Queen Mary step forward to fill the space with her own words, or will the couple present a united front of discretion? In every royal story, there are turning points, moments where small gestures change the narrative. This anniversary may prove to be one of those moments for the Danish monarchy. The story of King Frederik's 20th anniversary deflection is not just about a king and his queen, it is about the evolving relationship between monarchies and the public. It raises questions about privacy, tradition, and the expectations placed on royal figures in the modern world. As Denmark continues to watch its king and queen navigate their roles, this silent anniversary will remain etched as a defining example of how even a refusal to speak can spark conversations louder than any official statement. And so, the lingering question remains, was King Frederik's silence an act of love, an act of protection, or an act of avoidance? What do you think his refusal to comment on his wedding anniversary really reveals about the state of the Danish monarchy today?